get started. So we are continuing our Rise Village to Capital series. In part 1, we created the terrain. We created the village that kind of got things started. We got with the lore. In episode 2, we are going to be doing quite a few things. Let's kind of go over our checklist just so you know what we're doing. 1, we're going to expand the residential areas. If a village wants to grow into a town, it needs to have more people. So we're going to expand the residential areas. We're going to build a boatyard. As more people arrive, they're probably going to want to establish some kind of boatyard for more boats to get created for fishing, for people who are refugees that are coming to show up. They're going to want an area to dock their boat besides just a beachhead. So we're going to build that boatyard or shipyard. We're also going to create a fisherman's market right next to the shipyard or boatyard. We're going to sow more crops. Whenever you have more people, the larger the population becomes of a settlement, you're going to have more crops. People are going to be able to eat. Now, of course, need to eat, but of course, we also have our river here. So we have fishing, we have food, crops. So we have our food sources still available here. We're also going to build a wall and a series of watchtowers. In this episode, we're probably going to encounter some marauders. So we're going to need to build some defenses to protect themselves from those marauders. And then finally, we're going to build a town hall, which will be the focal point of the town. And in the end, we're going to do a naming ceremony. And that's going to be a call of action to you out there who are watching and tuning in. We want to come up with an interesting name for this town. And normally what I like to do is before I come up with the name first, right off the bat, I like to go over the lore and the history of the town and the village first. So that way you have a better idea of what to name it. So the naming ceremony will be at the end and not at the beginning. Hey, first time chatter, Amos, glad that you are here. All right, so there's our checklist. So let's get started. So first we mentioned that we're going to expand our residential areas. To do that, we're going to need more trees to do that. So why don't we cut some of our trees down here? Let's go ahead and create some of we'll probably cut more and more of these trees. There should be a bunch of them here. Let me go type in tree cluster here. There we go. Oop, I'm going to go into terrain. There we go. We're going to go ahead and delete that big cluster. We're going to delete that one, and that one. You can see there's some stumps still there. And we're going to delete all of these trees because we want to have more wood to expand the residential areas. So we can now decide where we want those to be. And what I was thinking what we could do here with our village is that we could expand we could start maybe up here and build some residential in this area right here and in right here. And what's happened is more refugees are showing up to this settlement. They're trying to escape from the war, which seems to be growing. It's not letting up. And so they're going to, just like the original families that created this original settlement, they're going to float down the river and they're going to find this settlement. And they're going to try to ask the original settlers here if they can stay and live with him as well. But for that to happen, we need to expand the residential space and we need to maybe sow some more crops as well because there's more people. So let's go ahead and get started on that. Just like in the first one, what we might want to do is since we're trying to fill up more of the negative space here, what I would consider doing is going with city blocks. So if you type in block right here, you'll notice that there are these city blocks. These small red buildings should work fine. I believe the scale that we set was 80, but just to verify that, I'll click this. Yep, 80 was the right scale. So then we'll just go ahead and go down to, and now we have it set to 80 here. And so what I'll do is I'm just going to go ahead and create some buildings right around the loops. You notice here that there's some crops right here. So then why don't we go ahead and take some buildings and just have them go around those spaces there. Now, if it doesn't go perfectly all the way around, that's okay, because we're going to fill in the empty spaces where the blocks left these open spaces. We're going to put some individual buildings. Whenever you're making a block of any kind, whether it's for a village, a city, a capital, a megapolis, metropolis, whatever it is you're making, you always start with the largest blocks first so that you can fill in as much space as possible. So I'll just take these and just kind of start building in my spaces. And of course, the best place to put them is just already right along the road, right, for access. This way you don't have to create a whole lot of newer roads for that to work. So I'll just go ahead and place a bunch of buildings just right along the roads here. This will be quite helpful. So I'll go ahead and place some along here, here, and here. That looks good. And we'll also place some along here as well. Let's go ahead and put some here. We'll put some along here as well. Don't worry about the negative space. We're going to fill those again with, we're going to fill those in with smaller buildings. First, let's just try to fill in what we can. I see there's some road right here. Why don't we continue adding that in here? And they'll put some here. So we have quite a bit of the blocks kind of coming together here. And then once you've done that part, once you've filled in those spaces, then you can start putting in the smaller buildings. So we can go back, type in here, type in house, and then you have these smaller spaces right here, and you can fill in those smaller spaces with these smaller buildings. So I can fit this smaller one right here. Let's go ahead and create maybe a little barn or outhouse right here. And then we'll fill in these spaces with a couple more. Same thing here. There's a lot of open space. Why don't we fill it in with a larger building? Let's go with maybe that one there. That looks good. Fill in here, here. So we're expanding our residential for all the refugees that have arrived. And we're gonna make our village quite a bit bigger. We're gonna say probably about 100 or so refugees have probably arrived or so, because the war continues on. It's ravaging the countryside, and a lot of people are getting displaced because of that war. And so they're gonna be looking for safer places to live. So we need to build those houses first. What I'll also do is probably put some more crops right here. We have a mill right here, and we're probably gonna want to put more mills along the edge right here as well. Put them as close to the crops as possible so that way they're not going too far. Notice we have all these crops down here. So it makes sense to probably throw some windmills up here at the top to process the crops that are being made. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and finish adding just a couple more buildings, and then we'll put a little crops in here as well. There we go. Continue adding a couple more. Let's fill in these smaller buildings. Remember what I said, always start with the biggest structures first and then fill in the small gaps with smaller sizes or smaller individual houses later. And of course, you're going to keep following that process, and I'll show you how we'll go about doing that. So now that I've kind of added in those figures there, these buildings, I can now move to that next step and maybe put some even smaller buildings, like some shacks, outhouses, outbuildings. They could be for tool sheds, whatever it might be. And those fills in those even smaller spaces that those small houses couldn't fill in, right? So now we're taking in those spaces, and this way you can kind of easily fill in your space. So the reason this technique is so helpful is because if you start with individual houses first, you know how long it's going to take to fill in all that negative space, that empty space where there's no buildings. So if you start with the biggest first and extrapolate down with medium, large, medium, small, and then tiny, then you start to fill in space much more efficiently. Because one of the big complaints that I see for a lot of people when they're making any kind of city, even a medium-sized one, is that they take time. So what this method of large to smallest or tiniest stamp does is it's going to speed up that process. You can't necessarily make a city in a day, but you can cut down the time that it takes by using effective methods that make it easier for you to get it done quicker. So that's what's really helpful. So we'll continue just adding more of these outbuildings, these small little buildings here in any negative space that I can kind of find. I see there's some right here. We can line them right along here. There's a negative space there. Let's put in a couple here. I see this little alleyway. We got some space in there. Some space here as well. Some space there. In fact, this one's a little big. Why don't we move that a little further away from the edge? I want to leave some room for our wall, so I'm just going to factor that in. Leave some space. Same thing here. I'm going to make some space here for the wall that eventually will get constructed. Here we go. That leaves tons of room. There we go. So we've filled up quite a bit of this space already, quite a bit. So then from there, we can now put in some roads. So what we have is we have the main routes to where the buildings connect, but what we might want to do is maybe connect them. Like, let's put maybe a route right there. Let's go back to land brush. Let's put a route there. Put a road right there. Let's expand this road and maybe cover it, the whole thing here. Let's maybe go ahead and create a route that connects through here. So the roads start to kind of come together on their own once you've kind of filled in the negative space. So what you didn't have to do was create all these complex roads. All you had to do was put the blocks down first and then it becomes easier to start piecing the roads together because now you have the spaces available to fit in those roads. Now you can put down your roads first if you prefer, but I find this method just makes it easier for me personally. So let's just go ahead and connect a road that goes to here and then connects to there. That road will also maybe connect to here. Let's go ahead and create that road here. Let's create some roads that sprout out from here and then go this way like that. That makes sense. Same thing here. Let's go ahead and create a route. Same thing here. That makes sense. And then we'll create a bunch of other paths here. So making roads is actually quite easy when you have that negative space in between the buildings already set up. Otherwise, it's a little bit of work to try to figure out what kind of road you want to make, right? You're trying to doing all of this and you don't really know kind of the format. That placing these buildings first will help with that problem. At least that works for me. So as you can see, all the roads are kind of set up now. And so we have a lot more residential set up here. So we have that all put together. And then we might want to go back to our checklist and kind of we'll step aside from the residential stuff and we'll start building that boatyard, because as more refugees shows up, that little tiny dock that we have there, just this little dock right here, just isn't up to snuff for the needs of this growing and thriving village. So let's go ahead and remove the checklist and we'll start with making our boatyard. And what I'll end up doing is probably just move this fishery out of the way. And then I'll probably end up maybe moving, let's see here. Where can I find a dock? Let me see if I can find the dock here. There's our wooden dock. Let's go ahead and remove that. And then we'll also remove those rocks as well. We don't really need those anymore. Let's see if I can find out where those are. There they are right there. So I'll go ahead and just remove all these rocks. Or if you don't want to remove them, you can just place a stamp right on top of them. So I can do that easily by just typing in ship. And there should be a series of ships, shipyards, all these things that work. Let's go expand assets. Considering that it is a kind of a smaller, it's just a village, we don't need to make a giant shipyard. Notice that there are two shipyard options. This teal shipyard, this one right here, these larger shipyards, and then there are these smaller ones right here. So let's use the smaller one because we're going to be thinking logic of a smaller settlement. It's still not huge. It's just a town. So if we kind of place this simple kind of dockyard just right here, and then we can also add just a couple more fisheries. I'm going to go ahead and put that back into the right layer. Move to layer village, go to village, there we go. And what I'll do is I'll create a couple more of these fishery stamps right here. So what happens if I go into the catalog and then grab another fishery? We can even change the color, go with a yellow one. And then let's just place that right here on this side. So we have another one there. So we're kind of expanding the dockyard a little bit. Now there's room for more ships. We might as well add some docks that are coming off of those fisheries as well. So I'll go ahead and throw a dock just right here. I'll go down a layer and have that one going out that way and that one going out that way. And then let's also put one right here as well along there. So now we have a little bit more access to the shoreline here, besides just trying to beach this beachhead here. But to make this right here, you notice there's a lot of stone here. So why don't we go back to our terrain? And we'll go ahead and remove some of our larger rocks. What I'll do is I'll just go ahead and select all from the set, and then I'll just go ahead and unlock it all. And now all should be able to unlock those bigger rocks. Let me check real quick. Let's go with select all. I think let me check the bigger rocks. There we are right there. Perfect. Let's go ahead and delete some of these bigger rocks because it's going to require stone for this to work. So let's go ahead and just remove a bunch of these bigger stones. What are these ones called? Is it called big rock? I think that's what it's called, big rock. Let's go with that. Big, there we go. Let's go with big rock. We can go ahead and remove these. Oops, for some reason I cannot spell. There we go. For some reason these are not popping up. Did I put them on the wrong one? No, I don't think so. Well, we removed a bunch of them. All right. Oh, hey, first time chatter. Sorry, I missed you there in the chat. There, we're deleting a bunch of these rocks because to build this stone foundation in which this boatyard is built, it's going to require stone. Conveniently, there's some resources right here. So they're probably going to mine or begin to take these rocks, break them down, and start to chisel them. So a stone mason will be needed. We do have a mason right over here. They're going to have to travel down to here. Go ahead and bring a cart with a horse or some kind of workhorse of some kind, work animal of some kind, and then they're going to break up this stone to create the stone for this shipyard right here. So those resources are being spent there. And I think overall our shipyard looks done here, so that looks good. So what we should continue on to is the next step, which is that fisherman's market. Because we've expanded, more people have showed up, there are more fishermen's, there are more people. We need to create maybe a fisherman's market that's going to be just right next to that boatyard right there. It makes the most sense that that is where you would place one. So let's go do that. And I'll probably use a different, buildings this time. Let's maybe try typing in block. And then this time we'll maybe go with these more yellowish blocks. We'll set to 80 here. Let's go ahead and put maybe a bunch of buildings right here. And then we'll also build a market type of place. So we'll go ahead and we'll copy and paste some of these market pieces here. Let's go ahead and place a bunch of them. Let's make sure they're set to the right scale. It looks like we have to bring these down a little bit. So I'll just place a bunch of them like here, like this. I'm just placing them there. They do not have to be like that. We can move things over, but let's have it this way. Let's go ahead and have the buildings right here. Maybe these are the people that own some of the shops or some of the stalls here. And we'll place a bunch of these stalls right here, right on the land part, not on the beach where the sand is right here. So let's not put them there. And we'll go ahead and create a little market just right here like this, maybe kind of a half circle. And then we'll put a little space here. That looks good. And then we'll put some individual smaller houses as well. Go back to our 80 size. Let's put one there. And then, of course, adjacent to the buildings as well, like this. There we go. That looks good. Okay. And then, as usual, we'll also put in some smaller shacks and outbuildings, as we always do. So I'll place a couple here. Maybe place one here, here. That looks good. And then a couple right here as well. That looks good. Okay, it's coming together. Let's go ahead and paint in that road. Not too hard to figure out what to do with it. Maybe put a route that goes around right here that's going to go through here and connect these, connect those. Let's put a little route that goes around the tree and then connects to here. There we go. That looks good. Now we have a little route. And then let's create a little route that goes here to the little where these rocks are, to kind of show that, hey, there was some travel between those rocks and here to kind of build, to put this together. So that makes sense. There we go. This looks good. All right, so that's put together. And then as well, let's go ahead and take a step back, go back to our checklist. We're going to keep adding more. Why don't we sow some crops? And then we'll also build like maybe a fisherman's district, not a fisherman's district, but maybe like a farming district where a bunch of farmers live down in this section right here. Why don't we do that first? So I'll go ahead and go into the catalog here. Let's go ahead and choose these blocks here, and we'll put a bunch of buildings along here like this. This is the lower part of the town. And just like before, what you should do is try to maybe line them up along the road. So cool if they're not perfectly lined up. Don't forget, that's what the smaller buildings are for. So what I'll do is I'll just start with putting as many buildings along the route here as possible. That's a good start. And I'll place a couple here like this, kind of line them up. Another one here, another one here. Now we have all this negative space. So let's go ahead and fill in that space. You see how quickly that space fills up when you start putting in the small one, the big ones, and then the small ones. So we'll fill those up. Let's go ahead and move this out of the way like this, and then we can fit that smaller building a little bit easier there, and then create those outbuildings as well. So now we have these outbuildings or auxiliary buildings. They could be tool sheds. They could be whatever you want them to be. We'll throw them along here, maybe a couple in this little alleyway here. You'll see some space here. Also, we want to maybe put some roads, put some buildings along the other part of the path right here like this. And what I'll do is I don't want them to be perfect So what I'll do is I'll just place a couple along this path here. I don't want to do too many, but if it's all on one side of the road, that looks odd. So I'll probably just take a couple along here like this, create a little space, and then I'll go ahead and put maybe one more along here like this. There we go. And then I'll move these outbuildings. There we go. That looks good. Put one right there. That looks good. Okay. And then, of course, I'll go in and create those little routes like I did before. So here's a good route right here like this. That connects well. That seems to connect there into there. That looks good. Same thing here. We can connect here. Here. Let's put a little route that kind of connects to the back and then makes its way through there. And then there's a good route right there. Let's go and put another route there. And let's put a little back route that goes through here. Just like that. That looks good. I see another spot. Right there looks great. All right. This looks good so far. Let's go ahead and take a step back and just see how it's coming along. Yeah, everything is looking pretty good, and we've got tons of time. So we've kind of got that market. We've got the fisherman's market here. We've got a more farmers. The farmers live down here, right here. These could be stable hands. They could be farm hands. They live down in the lower part of the city. They could be a part of the shipbuilders. All the farms are down. Most of the farms are down here. So a lot of the people who control the farms, the farmers, and the shipyard, they're going to come probably from down here, right here like this. We also mentioned that because we have more people, we should probably add in some more windmills and more crops. So let's go ahead and first throw in another windmill. Oopsie, I grabbed the wrong stamp. Let's go ahead and copy paste this. Oop, I see. Let's undo that, copy paste. Let's go put some windmills along here like this. Along the top here, let's go ahead and put a windmill right here as well. This looks good right there, just hanging right off the edge there. That looks good. One right here as well, and one right here as well. I think this should be enough. Let's go ahead and add in one more right here as well, kind of facing that way. Let's rotate this one facing that way. That looks good. And you know, another good one, location for one right here as well. There we go. I think we should have enough mills to process all of that food. I'm going to move them a little further away from the ledge so that way when I erect my wall, should work out. Move this a little bit this way as well. That one a little this way. That looks good. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and build those crops. And the way that I built the crop is pretty simple. You're going to want to choose some kind of crop texture. It doesn't matter which one. You're going to want to make sure the scale is correct. I put mine around 40, 45, and I'm going to rotate it like this. And then I'm going to just paint in that crop and put 100%. I'm going to go ahead and just paint in a crop in this space. Just like this. There we go. This looks good. There's one crop right there. That looks good. Let's go ahead and paint in maybe another crop right here like this. And then why don't we also paint in some crops along here as well. Here we go. Okay, so now we have some nice crops here. And as always, whenever I make a crop, I like to line it with bushes. Not too difficult. Just make sure that you get the right bush size down. I'm going to try to use the same size as I was using before, about 30% or so. And then when you are lining your crops, what I don't recommend is doing this, a perfect straight line like that. What I recommend you do instead is go ahead and just make a series of openings, like right click, click a couple times, create some openings like this. And when you do that, it makes it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more unique. So I'll just go ahead and line my crops like that, just like this. Go ahead and line those crops. Just remember, the trick is just don't do a perfect straight line because it looks really uniform and unnatural. So don't do it that way. Let's go ahead and create another one right here like this. And we're just going to line those crops. That looks good. All right, let's just keep going until we finish lining the last bit of crops there. All right, there we go. That looks good. Let's go ahead and take a step back. Whenever I do something with a lot of stamps or a lot of texturing, I always take a step back. All right, crops are coming together. Why don't we start to also connect those roads, right? So let's go ahead and create a path that kind of goes along here. It's going to connect into right here. Same thing here. Let's go ahead and create that path that's going to connect right here and connect to here. Let's create another route that's going to connect here like this and kind of connect that route. That looks good. Same thing here. Why don't we create some outlining roads that kind of go around this edge right here like this and connect. Same thing around here. We'll create a little path that goes around this edge. Same thing here. There we go. Now things are coming together. All right, here we go. All right, take a step back. All right, the roads seem to make sense. The only other thing I would really recommend is maybe just create a little bit of road right here. Some spots that I missed right here like that. That looks good. And let's maybe create a little path that kind of goes into here. There we go. That looks better. All right. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a step back. All right. Let's go check our checklist. All right. So at this point, as this village is slowly rising into a town, it begins to garner more attention, right? A larger settlement, easier to spot, and therefore it becomes a little bit of a target, because when there is more people living in a settlement, that means there is more loot. So raiders, people who have been taking advantage of the war and taking advantage of disenfranchised and difficult people who are refugees, a band of people, or maybe I would say that probably they're a band of thieves, bandits, raiders. They could be dissenters who deserted the war and then created their own band. But they're going to come down the river and they're going to attack our poor village. And so, with the help of some deserters that were in the refugees that showed up to the town, they're going to learn how to defend themselves. So a difficult and hard battle takes place here in our village, and most of it's going to take place here at the bottom. Some of the houses get burned, people die, but with the help of the deserters, they're able to fight them off. And it teaches this village a hard lesson, that not everyone is in the spirit of cooperation, that there are raiders, that there are people who are bad actors in the world. And so now they have to think about creating some defenses, right? And so the best place for defenses is going to be the top of this mound right here, this kind of rocky outcropping. And so what I would do is, what we should first do is we should probably move some of these rocks out of the way. So I'll just type in rock like this, and you should be able to select all here in here, and then we'll go ahead and just unlock everything, and we'll go ahead and move some of these rocks out of the way so that way there's room for that that wall. We're going to go over to our shape tool. We're going to choose a stamp stroke. I'm going to go ahead and turn merge shape off. We're going to go here and we're going to type in wall. Right here we have a wooden wall. Because it's not a major settlement yet, it's still just a small town, it's easier and quicker to erect a wooden wall than it is a stone one. So for the time being, they're going to erect a stone one, or a wooden one. And what I'll do is I'll just kind of single click. I'm going to use the pen, single click like this. I'm going to go ahead and bring the scale down so that it will fit. And I'm going to go around the entire building or the entire upper part of this town here like this. And I'm just going to single click like this, and we're going to go around the whole thing. So this will take a few moments, and then we'll end up using the portals tool to cut openings for the gatehouse, for spots for our watchtowers, and all of the stuff that needs to go around the surround here. So I'll go ahead and just go around the whole thing for now, just kind of making my way, following the contours like this, making my way. This will take just a few more moments. We're getting closer. Like this. Around here, if I have to move some stamps, I will. The windmill is going to end up being taller than the wall itself. So it's okay if the windmills are a layer above the wall, as long as it's not hugging too close to it. So we'll go over that in just a moment. Here we go. Here, we're almost there. There we go, right about there. So we'll press enter. And now we have our wall. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I move that to the right layer. I do this a lot, so I'll move it up to the village layer. That looks good. I see that there's a clipping mask there as well. Let's go back to village. There we go. Let's see here. That's at layer 2. Let me go back and try to find that shape. Here's the shape, wooden wall. We're going to go up 2 layers. There we go. That looks good. The wall is the tallest. And then, of course, I should go as well. And I should be able to take this windmill, raise them up above the wall layer. This one needs to be a little bit further away. Let's go right there. This one can go a little further away as well. About there, looks good. Make sure the windmill isn't hitting the walls. That looks good. Okay. And then just to show that that wall has just a little bit of height to it, I'll go back up to the top of the village part and we'll add a little bit of a shadow to that. So if we go up here to advanced options, we got the shadow. And I'm just going to increase the intensity of the shadow a little bit just so that wall will pop out a little bit. And I'll also maybe just bring the brightness up just a tad bit more just to get that wall to kind of pop out. There we go. Now the wall pops out all the way. Once you put down the wall, then you're going to want to go to that portal section, portals, and then we're just going to select where the gatehouse will be. So I'll go ahead and just use the portals like this. Just so you know, if you're wondering what the default size for the portal is, it's whatever the size the grid is. So the larger the grid size is, the larger the portals are. Just kind of a little tip there to help you out. Of course, you're going to put the portals wherever the entrances are. There's an entrance right here. You can see the road leads up to it. So we should put one there. And we should also put an entrance right here like that. Once we've done that, then we can start adding things like gates and stuff. We have a wooden gate here. Why don't we use this wooden gatehouse? We're going to go to size 70. I think that's fine as long as it stays close to that 80 size. We're going to bring it all the way up. And I'm also going to move some stamps out of the way. We'll push this up another layer up top. There we go. I'd say right about there looks good. And then I'll copy and paste that gatehouse, another gatehouse just right here like that. And why don't we flip it, face it this way instead? This looks good. And then I'll move this building out of the way. There we go. This looks good. I'll move this one out of the way as well. There we go. Okay, so now we have a nice gatehouse on both sides, so that makes total sense. We got this nice gatehouse here. That looks good. And then we also want to make some towers as well. So I'll throw in some towers, and I do believe there are these wooden ones right here. These will work great. If you're wondering where to put towers, my best suggestion would be areas in which areas need to be patrolled the most. So all along this side right here where the water is makes sense so that way people can see when marauders are coming down the river to attack them. So let's put them all along there as well. We'll go up, make sure I'm on the right layer here. We'll put one here. We'll put one right here as well. So that way there's extra along there. Let's also place them along this side as well. A couple along this side, just along the river so they can see. And then of course we'll place a couple along here as well. As that village, as the town grows into a capital, it will eventually cut all these trees and it will expand further out. So having these towers to watch over those areas is a great idea. Same thing here. Let's have some towers looking down on our crop areas. That makes a lot of sense. So now we have some towers that are on the surround, guarding, checking to make sure that there's no invaders coming. There we go. That looks good. All right, so we have that nice setup that seems to be going quite well. And of course, if we're going to do that, you might want to consider cutting down maybe a couple more trees. Why don't we cut some of these trees? There's a lot of wood that's being cut to make that wall. So why don't we cut a bunch of trees down so that way there's enough wood to build that wall. That makes the most amount of sense. And then what we should also do is create routes that connect those tower pieces together. It would make sense that there should be access to get to those towers. So we should maybe start with creating a route that goes all the way around the wall so that way there's access for the people who are manning the wall. They should have complete access. So let's go ahead and create that route all the way around the wall. That's going to be extremely helpful. So there's access to all points of the wall. We can even maybe go along here. And if you want, you can just do little dots along here. You don't have to do a perfect route, but just have a little road that connects all along the wall so that this way it's access. There we go. And then on top of that, you should create routes that connect to those as well. So we have a route here. Let's maybe connect a route that connects to there. Maybe have a road that connects to here. In fact, why are we, instead of having it wavy, why don't we make it a straighter line instead? So we'll create some straight lines that kind of connect these together. That makes sense. Same thing here. We'll go ahead and connect this route together. Let's make sure that there are roads that are leading to all of these important points. There we go. We have roads there, there, and there. That looks good. All right, let's go ahead and take a step back and look at it. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we're getting close to near the end of the stream. If you all out there have ideas for the name of this now town, please let me know. That would be great. So we're getting to that point where we want to get to a naming ceremony. So what I'll do is I'll create the town hall first, and then I'll go ahead and build some residents around the town hall, like perhaps the mayor or whatever. And so what has happened is that enough people are now inside of this village to be a town. And so decisions have to be made, right? There's a lot more people here. We need to start establishing rules. We need to establish people to enforce the rules. When you have more people, it's more to maintain. So we're going to create a town hall. We'll probably create a prefecture in which our army deserters will then become the new prefects for this growing town. So we'll go ahead and create a some kind of townhouse. Why don't we maybe, not a townhouse, a town hall. Let's maybe see if I can find maybe a specialty building here. Let's go ahead and take a look here. Not modular buildings. And since we have some extra time, why don't I actually show you how to make a modular building? That would be quite fun and entertaining. So let's do that. I'll show you how to do that real quick since we do have about 40 minutes left. Let's go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and make that. Okay, yes. Hey, Sorden. Yep, absolutely. Great one. I did that with a bunch of the trees earlier, but I like that. I'll add those in, but considering where we are for time, I'll get to that in just a bit. Let's first go ahead and make our modular buildings. So we're going to look at our roof here. There's this wide red roof. Let's go ahead and do that. And I'll just go ahead and down here, and I'm going to put maybe the town hall just like right here. So I'll show you how to make a building. What I'll do first is I'm going to create the main part of the building right here like this. Then I'm going to create a second part right here like this. Let's go ahead and press enter. That looks good. I see that there's some shadow built into it. Let's go turn those off for right now. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and just connect these like this. Copy, paste, copy, paste. I'm building the main part of the structure first. Avonton. Yeah, that's a great name. I like that. Avonton. Yeah, that's a good one. I like it. And then we'll go over to our modular pieces here. Let's go ahead and create maybe a little tower. Maybe that just goes right on top like that. So we'll put some little towers right here. And then we'll also create some windows as well. So I'll create a window here, a window there. And then what I'll do here is I will copy, paste these, and then I'll flip them and then place them right here like this. And then I'll copy and paste that whole thing right over to here. Just like that. There we go. So my building is slowly coming together. Why don't I copy and paste and maybe put some doors, some windows right here like this. That looks good. Why don't I copy and paste those same windows again, but let's maybe face them this way. And just to make sure the shadows are facing the right way, we'll switch. So I'll rotate that way so the shadows are facing the same way. We'll put some windows right there. That looks good. And then we also need to create some kind of entrances. So why don't we create one staircase that's right there like this. Go ahead and turn that shadow off and bring it down a layer. There we go. So we have some stairs that lead right there. We're going to keep adding more items here. Let's go ahead and maybe put some, put a door right here. So our entrance can go right here as well. And then we can also maybe throw in a couple more things. Let's throw in some balconies. Let's maybe throw in a balcony right here like this. And then I'll copy and paste that and then put another balcony. We'll flip that. Oopsie. We'll go ahead and flip this. There we go. And then we have the other balcony right here like this. I want to line it up with those wings. And then let's also maybe create either a statue or a fountain might be a good idea. So we could put a little statue like right here, or we could put a fountain there as well, whichever one what you have is a small little courtyard right here. So it might be a good idea to place a fountain just like right there like that. There, none. So now you have that. And our building is kind of coming together. The other thing that I would recommend is, let's go back to modular buildings, and we need to put in some kind of fireplace. So maybe we'll put a fireplace right here on that end, and then maybe there's another fireplace on this end. And then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and select the whole thing, create group, and then call this town. We'll put it right here like this. There we go. That looks good. And then we'll put some other buildings in there as well. We'll go ahead and throw those in here, put it around 80%. Oh, you know what? This could be a little bit bigger. Why don't we make it about this size? There we go. That looks a little bit bigger. Okay. And we can actually even move it to where the town hall actually makes more sense. So what I think I'll do is I think I'll move it over to here instead. It's closer to the front gate. It makes a little more sense to put it there. So I think I'll put the town hall right here, make it a little bit more central to the map. I think that makes more sense. And then we'll go ahead and place structures right here. And then I'll go ahead and make sure to add in the town hall is right here, just like that. So here's the main entrance, and then you'll be able to move right to the town hall right there. My mistake with that. Sorry about that, everybody. Looks like I somehow screwed myself up with that. Okay, let's go ahead and open this up, and I think I'll call that good. Where are we at for time? Yep, we're good. Okay, this looks good. Got our town hall. Someone came up with a name, Avanton. I think I'm going to keep that. I'm going to go ahead and throw down a text layer. I'm going to write that down before I forget about it. So I'll make sure to add that, and we'll change the blend mode. We'll go with this one for right now. Just going to put that title right here, down at the bottom here. There we go. I think I'm going to go ahead and take a bigger look at everything. I think this all comes together. We've done our entire checklist. Did I miss anything? I don't think so. We expanded the residential areas. We built a boatyard. We built the fisherman's market, including the farmer's area. We sowed more crops. We built the wall, and we built the town hall with some minor hiccups there. So thanks for bearing with me on that mistake there. Appreciate it. All right, so I think the plan will be in the next episode, which we'll probably do next month, in which part 3, we will turn this town into a city, which means we're going to be cutting down more trees, adding more houses. We'll probably create a bridge. We'll probably resize the map to make it a little bit bigger so that the city can fit around in the surrounding area. So this map is just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. We're going to fill in all the space up here at the top. We're going to talk more about putting government structures as the city has gotten bigger. We're going to need to talk about laws, a judiciary system. We're going to have to talk about all those things in our next episode because the city is going to have all of that stuff. So we'll cover all of that in the next episode. Thanks a lot, everyone. Appreciate all of your comments in the chat, especially like historical notes. Appreciate that. Tang Whistle, that's great. Also, thank you to the first time chatters as well. Appreciate you. I'm looking forward to the next episode where our thriving town will turn into a city. I'm really excited about that. Well, thanks everyone for bearing with me, and I hope that you all enjoy the rest of your week. Please stay safe and healthy, and merry map making, okay? Thanks everyone. Take care. Bye.